When that happened, it was kind of a stark reminder of how little time we actually have. My name is Ash Marl, and I am a creative and an agency owner. I was born in the UK and lived there till I was about 13. And from there moved to middle of France. That was where I kind of really started to enjoy the arts more. I realized I wanted to be a photographer. When I grew up, I was surrounded by people who enjoyed art. So my mum was a very strong influence on me today, especially with my direction of choosing art as a career. She used to do pottery with the kids in the village, basically. That's kind of where I started to be inspired by this. I'm like, you can pursue something you love and still enjoy it. Fully believe that anyone who's willing to take a risk and actually pursue something they love is like, they're inspiring in their own way. This beautiful kind of place that I could just experiment taking different kind of macro shots, and in the field around us we had big fields of sunflowers. So there's lots, it was idyllically French. And so it didn't matter where I pointed the camera, it was beautiful. And so I went around and took some photos and processed them, and when I just had them out on the table one day when one of my family was visiting, and she was like, oh, this is amazing. You could put these in a art gallery in London, because she lived in London. And she was like the pinnacle of kind of cool for me as a kid. Her words kind of like cemented in me. I'm like, hey, you could be good at this. Being a creative isn't smooth sailing, and so I've done a few different jobs. My first job was actually working as a service advisor at a local garage. The job was not fulfilling, so I got into this very dark place where I just wasn't happy, and eventually my wife came to me and she's like, look, I would rather us be poor and you're happy than, right? So like, let's find something else. My mum had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She managed to beat that, and then it came back. It was a really hard time because she was like a driving force in everything I did. It was kind of a stark reminder of how little time we actually have. Spend more time with the kids, spend more time with the family. You learn to just enjoy the stuff around you sometimes. When my mum passed away, it was a catalyst for me too. Dealing with her eventual passing just really made me realize that I needed to take more control over the things I wanted to do. And so I decided that I knew I wanted to shift away from just doing photography. We originally built AMP in 2017. You know, I didn't know how to be a creative director. I didn't know how to be a director. I didn't know any of that. But I knew I had to get started. I wanted to help the businesses, I wanted to help creatives. And so that's kind of the core of AMP, and how it became, that was when I realized that I was really good at being a creative director. And so I started getting into the video world. Brady and I basically connected. I'd worked with Brady before in the production house. He was the video portion of it and I was the photo portion of it. And so I knew that combo worked really well, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. We worked well together because we had very similar styles, and so it just blended nicely. Brady contacted me about shooting a commercial where I would direct, and he's like, just imagine being the photographer without the camera. That's all a director is. I'm just like, okay, I can try that. And it was fun. And so we kind of fumbled through it, and that's how I got started in directing. And that's become a really nice symbiosis, especially in the studio, which is like, I mean, we're not a big studio by any means, but we can now punch way above our pay grade. So we're scaling it. Like, that's the whole point of it. Like, the idea behind it is to give creatives somewhere that they can grow, that they can try things, be rewarded for, you know, cool ideas. Right? So find something that gets me excited and then film that. I think that's what I want to go into. So I think finding something that sets my soul on fire is key next. The marker of success is individualized. And what that means is that if you want to be a director, right, is that if you are directing, you've made it. Learn to understand that if you're doing the thing that you're trying to do, that is a success in itself. So take the end goal, build each step, like really get specific. You can do it across an entire career and understand what it takes, right? Like, work back schedules are not just for like running a successful set, but can also be used for your life. And that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. It's like, you know, you don't know where you're gonna end up in 10 years, but what you can do is influence where you're going. And during that time, enjoy that process. Then take a moment and just be like, wow, I'm actually allowed to do this. Like I always tell students, it's like, if you don't have a goal, you're already there. It doesn't have to be crazy. You know, all of those steps in between lead up to that dream, and just be unapologetic about it. Like, there's no one watching and there's no one caring, which is actually a freeing thing.